Welcome to the Mindful Healers podcast with
Dr. Jessie Mahoney
and Dr. Ni-Cheng Liang.
We are here to help you learn to pause and be present, awaken your breath, and harness the ripple effects of mindfulness for radiant health.
We get you. We know you. We are you.
We have both been successful on the surface, yet struggling underneath. We have both had cluttered brains, been overwhelmed, and exhausted.
We're healers who have found solutions and want to share them with you.
Join us here to discover a better way.
Thanks for joining me today for how to become the best version of yourself. This is part 2 of the question and answer series. Today, I will answer more questions from women physicians who attended the December Sagrada retreat. Specifically, I plan to share why I love being a coach and how and why my journey has turned out better than I ever expected. Listen if you want to learn what drew me to coaching and why, what coaching can help you with, how coaching is different than therapy, mentoring, and advice, how long people usually coach with me, how they know they are done with coaching, and what happens after coaching. The takeaway of today's episode is that if you want to become the most wise, authentic, engaged, impactful version of yourself, you need a coach. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to arrive and settle in. Pausing for 3 deep breaths today. Gifting yourself oxygen. Gifting yourself a pause. Gifting yourself a little bit of space. And just a moment to settle into your body, to slow down, and to set an intention to enjoy the rest of this episode. I was asked to share why I chose coaching and what drew me to coaching. Coaching is solutions focused, it's growth focused, and it's forward focused. This is why so many physicians find coaching appealing and very helpful. It works super well for smart minds that are very often unmanaged, that are acting out of reactivity, reacting to things and habits. And we were trained in medicine to follow a lot of programs and protocols and react in the same way to certain things and to rely on thought patterns. And so becoming aware of these thought patterns is key to making change and finding more sustainable, happy, and healthy ways forward. I was drawn to coaching because it is really a missing piece that helps so many physicians recover from burnout and prevent burnout. And burnout is in part caused by the medical system, but it's also caused by our training. And we can find ways to move through medicine and continue to practice what we love with the help of coaching. And we can continue to do it in a way that is sustainable and healthy for ourselves. Sometimes it involves changing situations as well. But coaching is what strengthens us as individuals so that we can become part of the solution. And certainly the medical system has not, and the problems of it have not been solved by those in charge. And so coaching strengthens us each as individuals so that we can come to the world of medicine as it is today in 2024 as our best, most effective, thoughtful, clear, non-victim-y selves. And from there, empowered and strong, we are the people that will be able to solve this problem if we want. And if that is not of interest, we can at least find ways that we can move through medicine and continue to do what we trained so long to do and love, if that is authentic and what we want. Coaching is what allows us to do it. Coaching is also evidence-based intervention, as is mindfulness for both burnout and mental health struggles. And so I am drawn to coaching because there is some evidence behind it. Also, because of my personal experience on my own receiving coaching and finding it so helpful after 17 years of working in physician wellness. I found nothing else like it. It also has helped me help hundreds of physicians that I have worked with over the last 4 years. And so I know now, based on more experience, I would choose it again and again and again. Physicians are also willing to engage in coaching, and it is one of the reasons that I was willing to engage it, because it wasn't about being broken. It's about optimization. It's about performing to your highest potential. It is about fulfillment and finding contentment and creating and enjoying a life that you love. As a coach, coaching others is deep and meaningful work that allows me to connect with amazing humans and help and support them. That's another reason that I love it. The relationships formed are wonderful and rewarding on all sides. I also love coaching because it's a tool to allow you to lessen your own suffering. It's about agency and choice and control and focusing on what is in your control. It is about being strategic, and I love strategic. It is about using your smart brain for you rather than against you. Coaching is about not making hard things harder. Coaching is about making the world a better place and rippling out change. As I coach individuals, and then they bring their coached brain to their families, to their patients, and to their institutions. And the impact and ripples of coaching travels far, far and wide. It's a powerful tool. Many of you may not know that I was also a psych major at Dartmouth. I love psychology and I love the brain, and I have always loved it. So while coaching is not psychiatry and we don't offer medicine, it is about working with the brain and optimizing the brain. Once again, it's not about pathology. And if you have brain pathology and need meds or psychiatry, you also need to be doing that in order for coaching to be as impactful. And I do always mention to folks who come to me for consults, if that seems to be an issue, that is very important to address those things first. Last but not least, I chose coaching because it is artistic, it's creative, it requires skill, requires experience, requires training. But like medicine, I think of coaching as an art. It's a blending of different modalities and tools. And an effective coach, especially one who calls themselves a mindful coach, needs to have training in mindfulness. They need to understand physician wellness. They need to understand the physician brain. And they need to have experience having been trained as a physician. And so it's not to be an effective physician coach. You can coach people who practice in other fields. Many of the same issues that come up for physicians come up for lawyers and come up for Google execs and come up for people in biotech and pharma. It's the key thing is to understand the brain and understand the human and be willing to be creative and blend together different modalities so that you can find solutions for each individual person and each individual brain. I also love it because there's no protocols. It's really about creativity and figuring out what works best for certain people. I was asked what the difference between coaching and therapy and coaching and mentorship and friendship. And I would refer you to a podcast from a year ago, last summer, where I spoke specifically about the differences. The one thing that changes everything is the name of the podcast. The cliff notes are that therapy is intended for pathology, depression, anxiety, inner child work. Therapy looks back at how you got here. Coaching, as I mentioned, is very forward focused, problem solving, solutions focused. How do you want to show up going forward? Mentorship is also not coaching. Mentorship is advice. It's wisdom being shared from a colleague or a leader or a peer. And I don't believe it's good for peers to actually coach each other in the sense that it muddies the waters and muddies the relationship. And we tend to show up empathetic and we tend to show up giving advice, which is not the role of a coach. A coach's role is to help you see what's going on in your own mind and help you figure out and learn how to have agency and solve your own problems. Friendship is also very different. Friends listen, friends empathize. Friends shouldn't coach unless they are expressly coaching in that moment. And if many of you have heard me coach Ni Chang on the podcast, and in those moments I have consent to coach her, we've chosen to set it up as a coaching situation. And in that case, friends can coach one another, but you want to be sure that it's a very specific coaching relationship. A friend is not a coach. So once again, coaching is solutions focused, forward focused. It's designed for mostly healthy, but burnt out, stuck humans, or humans who feel out of alignment or who feel like they're not functioning at their highest level, that they're not reaching their potential, that they have a nagging feeling that they'd like something to be different, or perhaps they've been trying to change something, but haven't been able to. Coaching is proactive rather than reactive. It's about empowerment. It's about clarity. It's about desires and alignment. I was asked what kinds of things coaching can help with specifically, or what kinds of things it doesn't help with. And I like to think of coaching as a tool. It's a tool to help you live your fullest life, to get unstuck, to heal and prevent burnout, to be an effective leader in both satisfying and sustainable ways. It helps you shine like a lighthouse rather than being a zodiac raft out there rescuing and saving, fixing, managing, and controlling everyone. It helps you step out of patterns that you may not be aware of, such as self-sacrifice and martyrdom, people-pleasing, perfectionism. It helps you understand why you do what you do and allows you to move forward with intention. I see it as a performance tool and a sustainability tool. And as I mentioned in the beginning, if you want to become the most wise, authentic, engaged, impactful version of yourself, you really do need a coach. And that is what coaching is intended to help with. It can help you with difficult situations that you didn't anticipate if you want to approach them as the most wise, authentic, engaged, impactful versions of yourself. Or you want to make a change so that you can be that person. Coaching is exactly what you need. Professional athletes who are all trying to perform at the top of their game, they all have coaches. And I like to say doctors need them too. Professional athletes, by the way, have all the coaches. They have mindfulness coaches, nutrition coaches, the game coaches, sleep coaches. I do believe that a skillful coach who's a general mindful coach can actually coach on all of those. I do help people with weight loss, decluttering, sleep, sex, marriage, parenting, doctoring, communication with colleagues, leadership, because we bring our brain, the same brain, to everything that we encounter in our life. And many of the same hangups and places we get stuck are the same in all those different areas of our life. And so I was asked to clarify what people is coaching not helpful for. And I would say someone who's depressed, someone who does not want to change should not jump into coaching, because coaching is not about changing people outside of you or how to change them. It's about changing yourself. Coaching should always be an opt-in option. It is for people who do not want to commit or invest in themselves. And if you want to be a victim of the situation and complain and indulge, coaching is not for you. If you have an agenda, coaching is going to help you get X, Y, or Z. It also is tricky. If you want to live a more impactful, fulfilled life, that's not exactly an agenda. But if you want to get X job or X leadership role, it may or may not be helpful. I think coaching in many ways cleans up our brain and helps us with anything. I was also asked, what's the most surprising thing about coaching? Number one, it's fun. I really just have fun and enjoy seeing how the brain works and watching people have epiphanies and big shifts and come back and tell me how things have dramatically changed in just a few weeks. I love that. I'm also always surprised about how creative it is and how creative I get to be and need to be if I want to be an effective coach, realizing that all brains function differently. I'm also very often surprised at how well it works. It's funny because I should be used to it by now, but I'm always surprised. There's always a crack that lets the light in for each person. I have not had a client yet who did not find benefit. Some get what they need a little bit slower than others, physicians in particular. And that is one thing I will say that has surprised me, is that physicians take longer to get unstuck in their perspective and their thought patterns. And my personal belief is that we were trained under traumatic circumstances. And so these thought patterns are stickier in physicians than in others. And many of the people I coach are later in their career because that's where I am. And I think when we've been practicing these unhelpful thought patterns for longer and longer, it takes more time to get out of them. The benefits are even greater, but I've not found someone who is uncoachable unless they didn't actually want to be coached and they wanted things outside themselves to change rather than changing themselves. I was also asked if I feel like I need to or want to coach people who are in my life who maybe don't want coaching. Do I find myself coaching my children or my husband or other family members, and how do they react? And I will say I very clearly do not coach my children or my family. And if I ever bring something up, I will share, this is what I do, or this is how I have changed. I think modeling the impact of coaching for my family has been the most powerful thing I've ever done. Changing myself is what has really allowed them to explore some of these thought patterns and look at who they are, and gifted them the belief that anybody can change if I can. The bigger problem I find is that occasionally my husband will try to coach me, not having any coach training, but he reads everything I write. He listens to what I say in podcasts, and he often reminds me that what I am doing myself or telling myself is maybe not what I would tell someone else. Interesting. I don't love it when he does this, full disclosure. And of course, this is why I continue to get coached myself, because we have human brains and our human brains go back to our old habits sometimes. I was asked, as a coach, do you carry people's problems with you? And thinking about this concept of compassion fatigue that we often talk about in medicine. And if I don't, how do I put them down? And I will say that in coaching, I have no trouble not carrying people's problems with me. As a coach, you are trained not to be empathetic. We don't believe unhelpful stories or victimhood. That's our job. Our job is to help you see possibilities and creative solutions and to get you unstuck. Our job is to find the crack that lets the light in and helps you move forward no matter how terrible your current circumstance is. You may have a spouse with an end of life, a very unexpected end of life diagnosis. Coaching can help tremendously with that. You may have lost a job. You may have a parent with severe dementia. Coaching can help because it changes how you show up for these difficult situations. It doesn't mean that I don't feel sad when bad things happen or angry when bad things happen to great people, but coaching also offers that bad things are gifts in and of themselves. Not so much in this Pollyanna way, but it's like, what can you make of this? How can you learn from it? Because it's happened and we can't change the past. So we make bad things in coaching neutral. And that is my job to make them neutral, and my job to empower you to show up for whatever the bad things are in your life. Empowered, neutral. You don't always have to be positive, but what is a way that allows you to move forward with grace and compassion? Next question I was asked is coaching and running pause and presence what I expected? And what parts of it are not what I expected? And I love this question because really, truly, running pause and presence is way better than anything I expected or ever considered possible. I never thought that this business and this path would allow me to have such broad reaching impact. I have clients all over the country. I have clients in Canada. I've had clients in Europe and Australia. And the positive reception that I have received sharing this work uh, um, has just been amazing. And I work with so many physicians of all different specialties and many different cultural backgrounds and life circumstances. And I very much enjoy that. And I feel that the impact that I'm making is much more far reaching. I also worked really hard to make it this, and I have learned to give myself some credit. I am continually changing, adapting, innovating, and growing, and that's my inherent nature. But to allow that entrepreneurship is very challenging, and it's definitely not for everyone. In many ways, running a business is harder than medicine, in that we had a lot of training for medicine and very little training to run a business. And in fact, when you're creating something that doesn't exist, there is no training. You have to figure it out as you go. So these days, I actually work many more hours than I did as a physician, and I work way harder, but I am choosing it, and I am doing things that I love, that bring me joy. And while medicine did also do that at times, what I missed was the ability to create and innovate. And I worked in a large institution, and perhaps knowing more about my mind and my human design, I am someone who would have loved to have had their own practice and create and innovate in that way. But given the way that my life was at the time, I had a baby in medical school and a baby in residency, that was likely not in the cards for me at that moment in time. And so, again, we don't look back with regret. We look back with all of those years that I spent within a large system actually helped me tremendously as a coach, and they helped me offer things to people working in institutions and many institutions themselves that work and are effective. So from that standpoint, I'm extremely grateful. The other reason that it's better than I expect is because it is my own recipe. I'm constantly creating, blending this 20 years of wellness experience, skills, wisdom, and then blending that with heart-centered energy. And that is what makes it fun and exciting. So I get to lead with my heart and coach with my heart and even make business decisions from my heart. And coming as someone who worked in institutional medicine and even as a department leader and a wellness leader, I didn't know that moving forward in the world like this was possible. I do know it is possible now, and I work with many people in institutional medicine, many department leaders and wellness leaders and facility leaders. And if our leaders can lead with their heart and make decisions from their heart, I think that our path in medicine will change dramatically. I was also asked if I would go back to medicine. And probably after listening to this podcast, you would imagine the answer would be no. That's the short answer. And also that I never say never. The reason that I am so enjoying my work, though, is that I'm getting to work with people in all areas of medicine and people in all different areas of leadership. And being nimble and innovative and creative makes me happy. What I have created is allowing me, I think, to work at my highest scope of practice. And it's allowing me to incorporate all the things that I know and have been trained to do. I don't practice medicine, but my practice of medicine informs everything that I do, as does my training in mindfulness and yoga and self-compassion and health and nourishment and mind, body, spirit work. I also, at this moment, am honored and privileged to be able to work side by side with my husband. And this work has also allowed him to work at his highest scope, something I never thought would be possible. He gets to share his cooking with all of you, which makes him happy and all of you happy and adds more beauty and deliciousness to the world. And the ripple effects of his cooking are magic after these retreats, still getting texts in January from people from the December retreat who are still making his recipes. And this work is also allowing him to share his knowledge of the law and negotiating and depositions. And it's allowing him to really perform at his highest scope. And so that has been a gift of this work, completely unexpected. The other piece I just wanted to say is when someone asked me, would I consider going back? I really didn't think it was an option. So it's again another story that I told myself that it wasn't an option that served me well. Even funnier, I have an old friend who left and did go back. And until I heard about him going back, I was like, wow, you could go back. I hadn't even thought of that. I also have several clients who have quit and gone back to different things in a different space after coaching and been able to do what they did before and love it. And so I do know that it is possible. So for me right now, I am very much attached to what I'm doing and don't want to stop making an impact in this way. But who knows going forward? If coaching teaches you anything, it's to approach the world hands wide open and make decisions in the moment. And I was asked if I miss practicing medicine, and I feel like I haven't left medicine at all, honestly, because I'm working with people in all areas of medicine almost every day. So while I'm not providing medical care, I am providing, I like to say, potent medicine or potent healing in different ways. And teaching and empowering physicians is not that different than what I did as a pediatrician. I taught and empowered parents. And so this part of my spirit is still being well taken care of as a coach. I do miss a few things. I miss newborn hens. I miss helping postpartum moms who are in tears. I miss that knowing that something's wrong, that spidey sense, and the relief parents feel when I help them with constipation. And I loved feeling wise and accomplished in medicine after practicing for 22 years. But I do not miss the systemic problems of this. I do not miss the in-basket. I do not miss department meetings. And I do not miss the lack of fresh air, nature, and windows. I don't miss the water cooler misery, I like to call it. I don't miss the culture of learned helplessness and victimhood. I don't miss the rush and urgency within the system. And I don't miss the challenges of innovating within a large system. Few more questions for today. How do coaching clients find me? I will say number one, from this podcast. Number two, lots of referrals from people who have coached with me who have found great benefit. That's probably where most people find me. Others find me through other free content beyond this podcast. So they come to my yoga classes, they read my blog, they know me from the Mindful Healthcare Collective on Facebook, and then they reach out. You know, they find me through consuming content, which is different than engaging. And so I always like to say, you can, that's the place to start, but you don't get the same benefit as when you engage. I wrote a blog a few years ago about the toll road, and it costs money, time, and energy to change. And it's 100% worth it. How long do people coach with me? And I will say that very much depends. Some people do one round of one-on-one coaching, and that is what they needed. Other people have been coaching with me for 4 years. Some people do coaching as preventive care. People know when they are done. I know and they know. When you're done, you feel done. Sometimes people are done and come back for a few sessions a year or two later, but not necessarily. I think it's very clear when you have gotten out of it what you wanted. And I was asked if I do keep in touch, and absolutely, I love getting updates and gratitudes and emails and people reaching out and asking me a question or a check-in. And so it makes me very happy to check in with people, or maybe they need a short bit of coaching to help them with a difficult situation. And once they have worked with me as a coach, I'm always available to be flexible and help provide people whatever it is they need in their life. So that is what I have for you today. A few reflection questions. How might coaching help you? Do you want to start living your fullest and most engaged life? Thank you all so much for listening today. And I hope that this has inspired you to just think about coaching for yourself. There's no urgency, there's no rush, but I do believe it is something that can dramatically change your life for the better for almost everyone. And there's a time and a place and a person that will help you do that in a way that is meaningful and impactful for you. Now, if my style or approach resonates, please do reach out. I offer one-on-one coaching. I offer small group coaching. I do intensive coaching at retreats. I recently started offering retreats for institutions and for teams, for women of cardiology, for departments. And I recently also had a former client write a philanthropy grant and get a grant for her institution to cover a whole team to do coaching with me. So there are lots of ways to work with me and bring coaching. I find the most effective way to bring coaching to your institution or to a team is to have engaged in it yourself. And people who do that are very successful at advocating for support for their teams and institutions. Please stay on after the sound of the singing bowl for today's mindful moment. It's our weekly offering to practice mindfulness with us. Easy, free, accessible, and hopefully lovely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us stars and written reviews. The written reviews are the most helpful in helping other people who might benefit from these words. Have a beautiful week.
As always, if you want to declutter your mind, be more present, and start truly living your one wild and precious life, come find us at the mindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Work with one of us.
Work with both of us.
Start or uplevel your mindfulness practice.
Discover how mindful coaching can change your life.
Or even better, do both as part of our Mindful Healers programs and retreats. You can find links to find out more about our programs and join our communities at themindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Reach out and get started on your journey to a life better lived today.
The content of this podcast is not meant to be medical or life advice. If you choose to participate in our mindful moments, please do so safely.
Welcome to today's mindful moments. A moment for you. A gift of time, space, and stillness. A chance to breathe, a chance to be, and a chance to nourish and heal yourself so that you can become the best version of yourself. Taking a moment to come back to your breath. Enjoying the breath as a tool. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Enjoying the breath. Enjoying the oxygen. Noticing how you feel. And taking a moment to think about the things that you would need to show up as the best version of yourself. What are the things that energize you? What are the things that nourish you? What are the things that replete you? What are the things that help you restore yourself? Taking in a breath and noticing how the breath feels. Is it restorative? Taking a moment to think about your life. Are you showing up as the best version of yourself? Are you the leading actress of your life? What would you do if you were moving forward, choosing to live your best life? Taking advantage of each wild and precious moment. Showing up with mindful intention. Being thoughtful, purposeful, deliberate. Creating a life where you feel fulfilled and satisfied. Coming back to your breath. Noticing how you feel. Connecting with the feelings of fulfilled and satisfied. Remembering what they feel like. And if it's safe for you to do so, closing your eyes and bringing a hand to heart. And connecting with this idea of living your best life, showing up as the best version of you for your life. What do you need to do to support yourself? What do you need to do to show up as the best version of you for those you love and those you care for, and for yourself, and for the world? Allowing yourself to think about this for a moment. How would you support yourself well? Would you gift yourself more rest? The more you do, the more you need to rest. Would you gift yourself more quiet and stillness? Would you gift yourself more nature or more movement? Would you gift yourself coaching, someone to help you see your mind, help you see the thoughts that are going on in the background that aren't allowing you to live your life to the fullest, to be the most satisfied and fulfilled version of you? If you were to show up in the world as the best version of yourself, how would you support yourself? What do you need? What would help? Allowing yourself time to breathe and listen, connect with your inner knowing, letting whatever you see and hear be, knowing you don't have to act on it, but knowing what it is. And also perhaps giving yourself permission to act on it. Why not? Wishing you all hope and wellness and a life well lived, a life where you show up as the best version of yourself and gifting yourself the best life possible for you, those you love, and those you care for. Why not? Have a beautiful week. Allow yourself to open your eyes slowly, coming back into whatever space you are if your eyes are closed, and gift yourself a moment to transition well back into the world with this hope, desire, and dreams to show up as the best version of you. See you next week.